are live again for the third time, third piece. Sorry, I'm doing this, Pete. But I just want to learn about Instagram TV. So, you mentioned the government orchestrated 9/11. You can't just say that. You can't just say that and not touch on it. So, give your thoughts on that. And I think that'll be the last topic because my phone's about to die.
Okay, so the one thing that people have to realize is what we have to do as a society, we have to stop moving on from one subject to another. What I mean is, we as a society, it's not okay that the Bush family and the Bin Laden family were business owners, were business partners in oil companies. There's something wrong with that. It's okay. Basically, this is what happened. The United States and Russia were having proxy wars throughout the world, and when Russia invaded Afghanistan, the United States created the Taliban. Or it didn't really create it. The Taliban already existed, and Bin Laden was in charge of it. Well, they kind of created it, but basically they gave him money to fight the Russians. Once the war was over, we wanted to get into the Middle East. We wanted to get into Iraq because we're Saudi Arabia's lapdog. That's what we are. The United States is Saudi Arabia's lapdog. We do whatever they ask. That's just the way it is. And they fund terrorists all over the world. They treat their women like shit. But it's okay though, because they have fucking money. They can do whatever they want.
Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. They're one of the richest families in the world. No, they don't gold. They have fucking oil fields.
So stick to 9/11. This is gonna be the 9/11 episode.
So basically, this is. No, but it's just like, what do you want to know? Like, do I believe what happened?
You said the government orchestrated 9/11. You specifically said that.
Okay, so 90% of the American public doesn't know that 3 buildings fell in New York. There was both World Trade Centers, both, and then there was the Solomon Brothers building, I believe it was. No, not Solomon Brothers. That's funny. The Solomon Building, wherever the fuck it was. It was a 42-story building that fell, and that building wasn't hit by any planes, and it fell in on itself. I don't know anything about building demolitions. I know nothing about that. I'm a fucking retarded human being. But
don't put yourself down in front of your own audience now.
But I watched people and listened to people who are experts in building demolition and studied engineering for 20 years. And that's what the group architects and engineers for 9/11. They're like part of the 9/11 Truth Movement. It's a group of thousands of architects and engineers who are basically disagreeing with the official story and account of 9/11. So basically, here's what I believe what happened. It's hard to say now because there's two plausible ways to look at this. There's two. It's first you have to look at how the plane hit the Pentagon. What that pilot did, he did a maneuver that most pilots who've been flying that type of aircraft for 20 years couldn't do. But he managed to do that. He managed to fly in at a low angle with the plane tilted to the right at 180 degrees, make a loop around, all at a low at a low rate, and then hit the side. So basically, long story short, the day before September 10th, 2001, Donald Rumsfeld went on national television and said, "We cannot account for $2 trillion of this country's spending." The next day, where the investigation was being done to find where all the money went, got hit by the fucking plane in the Pentagon. And that specific part of the Pentagon was just remodeled for anti-missile protection. So they had a whole. So this.
Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. You think the Pentagon looks like the way it looks like in Call of Duty Black Ops?
Yes, absolutely, it is. Yeah.
That's actually what it looks like. How do they know? How were they able to get it?
I just know. I just
you think it's got a scientist that steals your weapons in it too? That's mad funny. That's mad funny.
Here's what happened in a nutshell. The United States orchestrated a false flag operation in New York City on September 11, 2001. They manipulated. They manipulated the American people by preying on their fear. And by doing that, they implemented something called the Patriot Act, which allowed the government to spy on all of us. Allowed them to read every email, every text message, every phone call you make. So we used the false pretenses of Iraq having WMDs, even though Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. We invaded them. We took over Saudi. We take over Iraq. And what does Bush do? Instead of handing the country back over to the Iraqi military, he liquidates the Iraqi army. And doing that, fast forward years later, over 90% of all the Iraqi soldiers that were basically removed from the military, Iraqi military, they joined ISIS. That's what it led to.
Talk about ISIS for a bit. That'll be the last thing. So my phone's about to die. So talk about ISIS. So there's a conspiracy that we funded them.
Well,
that we're the one who made them. That's not even a conspiracy.
No, we do. We fund all the. We use those insurgency groups as pawns in our proxy wars. We do. We fund Al Qaeda and the Taliban in Yemen and Syria. You don't think we fund You don't think we fund ISIS in Syria to fight against the Syrian regime? The same way we fucking funded the fucking Syrian rebels? You don't think we did? We do.